Now, you've said that you will seek some broad consensus in your next changes for the judicial. What are those?
Well, I think that we've already done quite a bit. I've stopped the judicial legislation for 3 months, seeking consensus from the other side, unfortunately not getting it, then brought in a relatively minor part of the reform, passed it, and then said, I'm still going to give it several months to try to get another consensus. What is it? It would probably be about the composition of the committee that elects judges.
With the selection of the judges?
Yes.
How they're selected?
Right. That's basically what's left. And because other things, I think we should not legislate. I don't think we should move from one extreme where we have perhaps the most activist judicial court on the planet to getting to a point where the legislature, our Knesset, can just knock out any decision that the court makes. There has to be a balance. That's what we're trying to restore. I'm absolutely sure that Israel will come out stable and successful and democratic, at least as democratic, in my view, more democratic. I don't think we're going to tear the country apart. I don't think you're going to have civil war. I think right now what you're seeing is the natural conflict between two opposing views that have not yet meshed, but they will mesh.
Do you support your central bank governor, who is very well respected internationally?
Sure. I appointed him.
Will you back him for another term? He has to decide, I think, by next month.
Well, I haven't talked to him yet, but I will. But I've guarded, I would say, rigorously his independence, the independence of the central bank, and that will continue to be the policy. I will talk to him, but you wouldn't believe this, but we just not had the opportunity to discuss that.
But, Prime Minister, when you talk to him, will you ask him to stay on?
Possibly. I want to think about it. I haven't
What are you
had
thinking
time.
now?
I think he's been an exceptional central bank director, and I think that's a possibility that I'll have to talk to him about.
One of your ministers, I think, called him a savage for raising interest rates.
Yeah, well, my ministers in our hectic parliamentary system can say anything, but it's a fact that we've never intervened with the independence of the central bank, and we won't.
And so
in fact, I think I passed some laws or corrective additional laws that safeguarded the independence of the central bank. I do not want the government broaching in on what the central bank has to do.
So do you support the interest rate hikes?
I leave that decision to the central bank. You know, I've had several central bank directors because I've been in government a long time. I think in a few months I'll be probably more time in as Prime Minister than anybody in the Western world for the last half century. So I've had a lot of central bank directors to talk to. I always talk to them in a padded room, absolutely soundproof, that we could, hurl at each other whatever we want. But when I come out, I always give backing to the central bank director.
But, Prime Minister, it would be a pretty powerful message to the markets, given the divisions and given the turmoil, if you were to ask him to stay on.
Could be. That's a consideration. I'll consider it.
But do you agree? Would that be a powerful message?
I think the powerful message is the independence of the central bank. And I think the choices that I've made in bringing in central bank directors, whether it was Stanley Fischer and after him the current central bank director, I think people see that we choose and choose well.